Between Baker Street and Bond Street, we've got a piece of tunnel that was built out of unreinforced concrete. And over the years, the ground conditions have changed to the extent where we were experiencing spalling at the joints between the tunnel rings. Expanded precast concrete lining was degrading due to acidic water ingress mostly. That had to be replaced, or it had to be stabilised at least. We certainly couldn't shut the tunnel down for an extended period to rebuild it, because we'd gone through the experience of upgrading the Jubilee line, and the travelling public would no longer stomach that level of closure and interruption to service. Our politicians and our paymasters similarly couldn't tolerate that. It was essential to keep it open. Nobody in the world has ever tried to do what we did at Baker Street to Bond Street, replacing an operational railway tunnel and maintaining the service to our customers.
It was decided that the best solution was to replace the concrete segments that ran through that section with SGI, or spheroidal graphite iron segments.
For this project, we employed BIM, a structured approach to managing the information we need to design, build and operate our assets.
Long before we actually did the work, we created a 3D model of the existing situation, the existing assets. We used laser scanning, and we created what's known as a point cloud, and that was used to both visualise and animate the sequence of what we were about to do.
This enabled our team to create intelligent, multi-dimensional models, taking into account space, time, costs and materials.
You start seeing great benefit using 3D modelling because you've got that third dimension, the height dimension, where you start getting better coordination. Issues are identified earlier, reducing risks and clashes and problems on site.
We'd collected a lot of data. We decided to take all this data and place it in a common data environment, a repository of information where everybody, the project team, could go in there and look and see.
The intelligent tunnel model we created recognised different levels of deterioration of tunnel segments, enabling us to both prioritise work and schedule it properly each night to avoid engineering overruns and delays.
When we talk about 4D, we're talking about adding the time element, so you start using the models and aligning those to schedules and programs, so then you can actually sequence the works.
We can then attach data to that, so the model becomes intelligent. It can be used to design and manufacture.
We had to show the work that needed to be undertaken. We had to show the time it was going to take and demonstrate that all of the eventualities that we could conceive of were going to be addressed.
That was all designed and modelled to prove that what we were intending to do was doable.
We could build the asset twice, once in the digital world and leave all our failures there, and then secondly go and build it in the real world.
The BIM model and the three-dimensional visualisation is a very powerful way of describing to a wide range of different audiences what it is you're doing.
Normally people would look at bar charts, numbers. Here they could see the work site, see processes, the work site changing, and they could see it against a date, against a figure.
And the models were also used to train the operators in what they were going to have to do when we came to do it physically.
You also had the 5D option where in the plan the costing people could look at it and see how much it would cost as time progressed.
The detailed digital model of the tunnel has enabled us to design thousands of bespoke metal segments of the new tunnel lining. These segments were then produced off-site.
The project was a fairly complex civil engineering task. It was also quite a complex and almost impossible to solve logistical conundrum.
On the underground, we have a very limited time window to carry out engineering works. In this particular location, it was about 2.5 hours every night.
We looked at various options and it was decided that there was no equipment suitable for the process. There was nowhere to store materials, remove spoil. So we built a mechanised vehicle that would carry the workforce, all the materials to site, conduct the works.
We took the top off an engineering train, used that as a mobile work unit and designed equipment that would extract the concrete rings and pick up the SGI rings and put them in place.
If we hadn't used digital technology, we would have left the railway exposed to risk of not being able to open it to service following commencement of works. We could have disrupted that railway for an extended period of time, while we worked out some of the technical problems that we hadn't otherwise foreseen.
From the start of the job until the conclusion of the job, SES and London Underground will have replaced almost 400 complete rings.
We chose to do this in-house, partly because we had the skills in visualisation and modelling, and in fact it would have been very difficult to contract this sort of work out.
The project was a success. It was delivered 4.5 months earlier than we'd anticipated, and we managed to deliver it for around 10% less than also we'd budgeted for.
The travelling public didn't know it had happened. I think it was the first time that the entire project from design through to build had been modelled, animated, proved before actually doing it physically. We're claiming a first and we're claiming a big success in that.
BIM provides an opportunity for us to de-risk what we do by engaging with our suppliers, sharing and collaborating, using data as the medium of collaboration. It is the future, it provides those opportunities, and it is a technique and tool set available to us to use from here on in.
It's given us a very practical, very tangible example of how we can use this technology to help people understand, whether it's people looking at the technical specification of what we're doing or just wanting to understand the implications. So I think it is a powerful example and a model that we can certainly pick up and develop on some of the works we plan in the future.